Hi dear students, welcome to I-Fal. I am teacher Nikki and I am here to give you another grammar lesson. So for today's video, we will be talking about a new tense of verb that will help us enhance and make our sentences perfect when we are communicating in English. So let's go ahead and talk about the present perfect tense. Let's go. The present perfect tense is actually one of the most common tenses that is used in the English language. However, many students are still confused on how to make and use this tense. So for today's video, we will be having a comprehensive and complete discussion on how we form and use the present perfect tense. So let's go ahead and start with the forms. To fully understand how to form the sentence in the present perfect simple tense, let's take a look at these examples. Tom has lost his keys. Tom has lost his keys. They have lost their keys. They have lost their keys. Now, as you can see, the construction of the sentences are the subject, singular or plural subject, and then the helping verb has or have, then the verb in its past participle form. So let's take a look at the construction again. Singular subject, use has, and then verb in past participle. Plural subject, use subject plus have, and then verb in past participle. Now, since we are talking about verbs in past participle, we have to understand what actually is a past participle form of the verb. So let's take a look at some of these examples here. So for the past participle forms of the verb, you have to remember that usually some of these verbs have the same forms with their past form. Okay? So for regular verbs, so you just add D or ED, and that is similar to the past participle form. Now, okay, there are also some irregular verbs that change their spelling, and their past form and past participle forms are actually different. So I have listed here some of those verbs. These are your regular verbs with the same past form and past participle form. Now, these are some of your verbs having different forms for the past and the past participle form, which we call our irregular verbs. I have listed them here. Okay, so there is no actual rule in identifying what could be the past form or past participle form of your verbs. This is something that you have to remember, you have to research, and you have to master. Okay? So let's go ahead on the usages. So one of the common usages of the present perfect simple tense is actually talking about a past action without mentioning its specific time in the past, which means you don't actually know when the action happened, or it's not important to mention when it happened. Like, for example, I have traveled to Japan. I have visited my grandma. I have eaten Italian food. So all of this are actually finished actions, but we don't focus when they happened. So this is one of the most common usages of the present perfect simple tense. Now it's time for you to give your own example. So the second usage of the present perfect tense is when we talk about a past action with a present result. So which means we are connecting the past and the present. Let's take a look at some examples here. Tom has lost his keys. Now, in the past, Tom lost his keys. Now, up until the present or this time, he doesn't have them. So past action with present connection. Another one, they have gone out. So which means they went out, and up until this time, they are still outside or they have not come back home yet. So now let's go ahead and talk about the third usage of the present perfect simple tense. Now, when we are talking about life experiences or things that we have experienced in the past, now we can use the present perfect simple tense. Like, for example, I have been to Paris. I have tried Italian food. I have done bungee jumping. So all of this talk about experiences, which also means we want to focus on the actions done in the past, but we don't actually want to focus on the time when they happened or when you did them. Okay? So now to summarize all the usages that we have discussed a while ago, number one, when we are talking about any finished actions with no specific time. So which means all of them were done in the past, but we don't actually want to focus on the time. The second one is when we want to connect a past action with present results. Okay? So again, if there is a past action with present result. And the third common usage is when we are talking about life experiences. So it's almost similar with the first usage. However, we just don't want to focus on the time, but with the action that we experience in our life. Okay? So now let's talk about the two other forms of the present perfect simple tense. Let's talk about the negative form. So it's just very easy. Now, when you are forming the negative form of the present perfect simple tense, you just put your subject, has or have, you add not, and then your verb in past participle. Again, subject, singular or plural, then has and have or have, plus not, and the verb in its past participle form. Okay, so let's take a look at some of examples here. I have some examples for our negative form. Jane has not seen the movie. Tom and Tim have not visited their grandmother. They have not talked to their classmates. So all of these are actually in negative form. Okay? Now it's your time to create your sentences in negative form. Go ahead. So the next form that we are going to talk about is the question form. So it's just very easy. You have to start your questions with has or have. And I think that you already knew how to use has and have, right? Again, start with has or have, and then your subject, singular or plural, and then your verb in past participle form. Again, has or have plus your subject and then your verb in past participle form. All right? Now let's give some examples. So now here are some of the examples for our question form. Have you eaten your breakfast? Has she seen the movies? Have they played the computer game? So these are just some of the examples for our question form. Now it's your turn to make your questions in the present perfect simple tense. All right? So just like what I told you, the present perfect simple tense is one of the common tenses we use in the English language. However, it's still very confusing for a lot of students, So that's why we have to improve and master sentence construction. And we have to always think on how or when we are going to use this tense of verb. Okay? So for you to learn more about this grammar topic, I would like to encourage you to apply and subscribe to our classes here in I-Fal. So just visit our website that I will be flashing on our next slide. Okay? So thank you so much for listening to me today. I hope that you have learned something from this lesson. So till then, see you next time and enjoy studying English. Bye.